Manager. The first thing we're going to go over is adding employees. To add an employee, I do have everything listed under the favorites bar over to the left. However, I'm going to go through the top toolbar and just show you where everything is, just in case you don't have that set up on the left-hand side. So to find employees, we're going to go to Maintenance, Labor, and then Employees, the first line here. Once you're on this screen, you can go ahead and hit New over to the right. And this top number is what their POS number is going to be. So typically, a lot of restaurants use the last four of their socials, or you can just use generic numbers, whatever you would like, 3 or 4 digits. So right now, I'm just going to keep it as 104. And then you have to fill out the 3 X's. So you have the social, which is 1, last name, and first name. So that's all you have to do on this page. You don't have to fill out any other information, birth date, address, state. If you want to, you can, but it's not recommended to move forward. So again, POS employee number, social, you can just put 1, or you can put their full social in there, last name, and then first name. The next thing you want to do is go to job codes, which is the third tab in at the top left. And then you want to click add over to the right. Once you click add, it's going to have 2 X's, one for a job code and one for access level. For the job code, you're going to choose what they're doing. So if they're a server, bartender, cashier, manager, and so forth. And then whatever they are, you're just going to match that access level. So if they're a server, they get server access, and I'll just add a few just to show you. Okay, so you always want to match the access. The only people that do not get matched access is kitchen employees. Typically, kitchen employees are just logging in, logging out just for timing purposes, and they don't need to use the front of the house terminals. So when you put them in as kitchen, their access level is going to be no access. If you have a server or bartender that wants to have manager access, they can do voids and confs and stuff like that. You can just give them manager access, but keep their job code as a server or bartender. And then over to the right, you have their pay rate that you can put in on the right-hand side. Once you're done with this, you can go ahead and hit save over to the right. Now this little box is going to pop up every time you do changes. You just want to tap this little white box in the left-hand corner and hit yes. All right, the next step for employees, this is only for managers. So if you have managers and they need access to the Aloha Manager icon in the back of the house, it's going to be users. And to get to users, you're going to go to maintenance, labor, and it's the last line here called users. And again, this is only for managers, so if they need access to reports, if they need to change item pricing, if they need to add employees, they're going to need this second step only for managers. So once you're on the screen, you're going to go ahead and hit new over to the right. You're going to put that employee number in. So I did 104. Add that employee number down here at the bottom where it says POS employee number. Then you're going to do the first name, last name, and then this last X here, the security role, you're going to choose what they are. So owner, manager, or all. So all it has every access, anything that they need. Owner has the second top access, and the manager has a little bit different access. Each store is different, but if you want them to have everything, you would just click all. Once you're done with that, you have to add your store over to the left and click the right arrows, and it's going to add your store to the right. Once you're done this, you're going to hit save. So now this person's going to be able to log into Aloha Manager. When they click on Aloha Manager, they're going to put their number in, hit enter on the keyboard, and it's going to ask them to create their own password. All right, the next thing we're going to go over is items. Items is where you're going to be adding items to the database. This is not buttons, it's just strictly adding it to the database so the information's in there. So to get the items, you're going to go to Maintenance, Menu, and this first line here is called Items. Once you're on this page, you're going to go ahead and click on the top toolbar with your restaurant name. You're going to scroll down to the item category, so it starts with your daily specials. If you scroll down, it's going to go to your apps, soup, salad, entrees. And then if you scroll down all the way to the bottom, it's going to have all your bottled beers, draft beers, liquors, bottled wines. Okay, I'm going to scroll back up to the top. I'm going to go to my appetizer category, which is the second one down in all caps. To find a new and available space, we're going to click on the appetizer name, so the category name. Click on the next item down, and you're going to want to type that item in 3 times. So 3 times, the short name is the name that appears on the button on the front of the house. The chit name is what goes to the kitchen. And the long name is what's going to get printed on the guest receipt. So if you abbreviate anything, you just want to spell that out a little bit more nicely. So 3 times, 1, 2, 3. Then you want to go to the pricing tab, which is the third tab in. And you're always going to price it on the last line, which is the default price. And then if you need to add modifiers to your item, that's going to be the second tab in. And then here's all your modifiers at the bottom, modifier 1 through 10. You typically want to have any force modifiers in modifier 1 through 5. So if you have like a meat temp or wings that need a sauce, I would put those in modifier 1 or 2. If you have sides that they need to choose, I would typically put those in modifiers 8 through 10. So if you need to add a mod specific for this item, you can go ahead and use a dropdown and find the modifier group that you're looking for. All right, once you're done adding the item, you hit save, and you can go ahead and add the next item on your list. So again, when you add the item, you're doing the short name, chit name, and long name. You're going to the third tab in, which is the pricing tab, and you're always going to price it on the last line here. And then if you need to add modifiers, you're going to go to the second tab in and add the modifiers that you need from your current modifier list. If you want to take modifiers off, just find the modifier that you want to take off. Use the drop down and click none. Once you're done, you can just hit save over to the right. Once you're done adding items, you can go ahead and add the buttons to the front of the house screens. The buttons are called submenus. So we're going to go to maintenance, menu, submenu. Once you're on this page, you're always going to use the drop down here at the top where it says starters, or in your case, it could be course, beverages. Always just use this top toolbar. Once you're on this screen, it's going to show you all the current submenus in your database. So right now I added an appetizer, so I'm going to go ahead and add that to my starter screen, which is the first one. When I click on this, I'm going to go to the layout tab, which is the second tab in, and it's going to show me all the buttons that are currently on my screen. So to add a new button, you're going to click on any white space available, and then over to the right where it says none, so you have item and then none, you can type in the item that you wrote. I wrote in wings, or you can use the drop down and find the item by scrolling through the database. I find it's easier once you add that item, just typing it in, and it's going to show you everything in your database with that name. Once you add the item, you can right click and drag that button wherever you have availability. When you want to delete items, you're going to strictly come to the submenus. So if you're deleting anything from your database, you're never going to go into items. You're always going to come into submenus. So once you're in submenus, you're going to find the page that you need. So right now we're in starters, right click, and just delete it off. And then if you ever want to bring it back, it's still in your database. Again, you just click on any white space, go over to where it says none, and then type it back in. And then hit save when you're done. All right, the next thing we're going to go over is modifier groups, which is exactly the same as submenus, but just all your modifiers. We're going to go to maintenance, menu, modifier groups. Again, we're always going to use this drop down at the top, and this is going to show me all of my current modifiers in this list. So if you want to edit a current modifier, just find the modifier that you want. So let's just do wing sauce, the third one down. And then you always want to go to the layout tab, which is the second tab in. And here again, it looks just like your submenu, so you're adding the buttons the same as you normally would. Click on any white space, and then go over where it says item and none, and type in the modifier that you're looking for. Once you type it in, it's going to show you all those options with that name. And then again, right-click and move that button to wherever you want.
Hey, Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
Kathy has a question. She asks, how do we add additional lines to an item category?
Meaning if you need more spaces in your item database? Is that what she means? Yes, okay. So if you need more items, typically you would just call us up and we could add this for you because we do it in bulk. But if you would like to do it, you would just go to your items. I'm going to scroll down to appetizers. You want to choose the last category in that item. So I'm going to choose this last one here right before soups. And then if you go over to the right where it says copy, you're going to copy the next number and hit OK. And that will give you a new item in that same category. However, if you give us a call, we can just add it in bulk. So say you need like 30 items for each category, we can do that pretty easy for you guys. But again, you just want to find the last item of that category, hit copy to the right, and it's going to add a new item in that category. All right, back to modifier groups. Same thing with the submenus. If you want to delete anything out of that modifier group, you're just going to come here, right-click, and delete that button. And down here at the bottom, you have a sort up button and a sort to the right arrow. Sort to the right will sort everything from A to Z. And then sort with the up arrow is going to sort everything from A to Z, but just on the left two columns. If you want to add a new modifier group, you can go ahead and hit new over to the right. You're going to want to name that modifier twice. Choose the layout tab, which is the second tab in, and then start adding your new buttons. Click on a new spot. Over where it says none, type in your new modifier. And then if you want to sort them, sort at the bottom here, sort to the right. It's going to name them all alphabetically from A to Z. If you have a modifier that you want to pop up automatically, you need to go to the modifier tab, which is the first tab in. And then down here where it says screen flow required, if you check this box off, it will automatically have the modifier pop up and the server will be able to get out of it. If you want the server or bartender to choose at least one or two items, that is where you have to change the minimum and maximum right here where it says 0 and 0. So if you change this to 1 and 1, they have to choose one button. If you choose it to 0 and 1, they can still look at the screen and still get out of it without choosing anything, but they can only choose one. If you want them to choose maximum of 2, you just change it to 2. All right, and then once you're done adding the modifiers and the submenus, you want to go ahead and add those new submenus to the menu. So the menus are the strip down the middle of the screen that shows all your menus for the server and bartender. So to find that, we're going to go to Maintenance, Menu, and then Menus. Once you're here, you want to go to the Layout tab, which is the second tab in. And typically, most places are going to have a server and bartender menu. If you have more than that, you just have to scroll down and see which menu that you have. So here's what the current list looks like. When they log into the front of the house, they're going to see this down the middle of their screen. So a little bit tedious with this. If you want to move anything around, you have to go to the bottom of the page and drag that last menu down to make room to change anything or the order that you want to change it in. If you want to take anything off, you're literally right-clicking it and hitting delete. If you want to add a new submenu, so let's just move all these down. Say I want to add an appetizer. I'm going to move all these beers down so it gives me a space at the top. So here's my new and white space. I'm going to go over to the right where it says none and click on the new submenu that I want to add. Once you add it, you can hit save at the right. Again, if you have specials or happy hour that you're no longer selling, you would just come to your menus, right click, cut it off, and then hit save. And then if you ever sell that again, you can always just put it on here and pop it back on and hit save. So we don't ever typically delete submenus unless you're never going to use it again. All right, the next thing we're going to do is item routing. So we're going to go to maintenance, menu, and then item routing, second one down. So item routing is where you're going to attach the items to print at a specific printer or a specific kitchen screen. Your database looks the same everywhere you go, so over to the right is your whole menu. So again, it starts with your daily specials. If you scroll down, it goes to your apps, soup, salads, entrees, and then again, at the very bottom, you have your liquors, your bottled wines, and all your liquors. Let's just go back up to the top. So if you want to change a printer group that the item is currently going to, you're going to find that item, click on the printer group next to it, and just choose the printer that you need it to go to. If you're not using printers, you would just add the video group, which is the second column in, and just add the screen that you want that item to go to. If you want to change the screen, so currently meatball is going to saute. If you want to change that, use the drop down and just choose which screen you want it to go to. If you want to do multiple items at one time, you can right click, choose all the items that you want, and it's going to change them all at one time. So say I want to add this printer group to Expo, it's going to change them all to Expo at one time. Same thing with the video group. Right click one, hold down shift, and choose the new video group. Once you hit save, this is a real-time update, so you don't need to refresh the system. It will immediately go to that printer or to that kitchen screen. All right, the next thing we're going to go over is item cook times. This is if you have kitchen video. So we're going to go to maintenance, menu, item cook times. Again, once you're on this page, everything looks exactly the same. Daily specials, appetizers. The database is the same pretty much every screen that you go to. Once you're on here, you just go through and add the cook time in seconds next to each item. Again, this is in seconds, so just be mindful of that. So find the item, put the item in seconds over to the right. All right, and then the last thing we're going to go over for the back of the house is just the floor plan. So the floor plan is called maintenance maintenance screen designer, and then table service screen designer. Once you're on this page, this little box is going to pop up where you're going to choose this first line, work with panels. Once you're here, you're going to go to panel, open panel. And then you're just going to choose your floor plan. So typically your floor plans are called bar, dining. Table functions is the screen at the bottom, which I'll pop up here. We'll do bar and dining. So table functions is this bottom strip down here. We typically don't mess with this at all unless you want something else. We can take something off for you, but typically it stays that way. But for your floor plan, you have all your tables. If you want to add a new table, just click on any existing table, right click, copy it, right click, paste anywhere on the screen, and then you have your new table. So your new table, you want to rename it over here to the right where it says table number. Just use the drop down and choose the new table number that you want. Once you have the new number, you can just right click and drag it wherever you want. If you want to make it bigger or smaller, Just drag it out by the corners. If you want to remove tables, you're literally just clicking on it and deleting it. If you want to make your tables diagonal, like some of these, click on the table, and then the orientation, which is the second line down, you're going to make 45. All right, and then again, just to take the tables off, you're going to right click and cut them off. Once you're done updating the floor plan, you're going to hit Panel and Save Panel. Does anybody have any questions regarding the back of the house? If not, we're going to move to the front of the house.
Your microphone is muted, Nicole.
Thank you for that. All right, so let's start that over again. So you're going to want to put in your POS employee number. Once you put in your number, you're going to hit OK to the right. And this is going to log you into your screen. At the bottom, we're going to go over each of these buttons. So the 4 buttons to the left, the 4 blue ones, the last item ordered is going to show you the time that the last item was ordered on that check. Table open time is going to show you the last time that table was open. Table owner is going to show you who owns that table. And then standard view is just going to show you just that table with nothing on it. If you want to combine a table on the floor plan, you can hit combine, this white button at the bottom. Choose the 2 tables, 3 tables, 4 tables, doesn't matter. Let's just do 103 and 102. And then we're going to hit combine again. And it's just going to make them both 102. So this is strictly just for kitchen purposes. It does not move anything on the floor plan. It's just making them both the same number just for the kitchen so they know where to go to the table. When you want to detach them, you're just going to hit detach, choose the 2 tables again, and then hit detach. The red buttons down the middle of the screen are typically your floor plans, so you can just toggle between both of those. The orange gift card, that's going to show you the balance on the gift card button. If you do have an ATO takeout screen, that's going to be down here in the green button. And then your functions, this is where you're going to be adding, well, this is for, I'm logged in as a manager, so I'll show you a different screen. One second. So functions is typically for managers. You're not going to have that options for servers and bartenders. And then the WWT screen, this is where they're going to add tips at the bottom. This is where they can start a new tab. And then this is also where they're going to be checking out after they're done their shift. So let's go back to the floor plan. To start a new table, you're just going to click on any table that you want. Click on how many guests that's currently at that table. And then this is what their screen is going to look like. So down the middle, this is all your menus. So it has bev, starter, soup, salad. These are all your menus. To scroll down, you're going to use these arrows. And it's going to show you all the menus that you currently have. To add an item to the check, you're going to choose the menu that you're looking for. Put the items in. If you want to modify anything, you have a mod button at the bottom right next to delete. You're going to hit mods. And this is going to show you all the modifiers that are currently attached to that item. If you want to use the modifiers at the top that say no, extra, on-site, or light, you have to choose these first before choosing a modifier. So no blue cheese, extra guacamole. If there's a button that's not on here and they need to type something to the kitchen, they can type something in the bottom left and type it in. This is only typically 15 characters, so just be aware of that if they're typing something that it's going to get cut off. So right now, all my items on the check are blue. At this point, the server or bartender can still delete the items because they have not been sent yet. Once they are sent, they will need a manager to void them off. So to send this item, you can send it 3 different ways. You can hit send at the top middle, and this will leave you on this exact page. You can hit done in the middle of the screen, and this will log you out so the next person can log in. Or you can hit the floor plan, which is in the top left, and this will just bring you back to the floor plan. So all 3 ways will send it to the kitchen. So I'm just going to hit send. And now all my items are black. So if something need to be taken off the check, at this point they will need a manager to void it off. All right, few buttons at the bottom right, you have print, your first item. This is just going to print an itemized check. Repeat will repeat the last item on the check. If you highlight the item and then hit repeat, it's going to repeat that item. Delete again is for modify or for managers to void something off. Or if they have not sent it yet, so if it's still in blue, they can delete it off. Again, because it has not been sent yet to the kitchen. And then your modifier screen, which will just take you to the mods attached to that item. And then again, if you have a takeout screen, that button's going to be down here to the right. If you need to split the check, at the top left, you have a split button. If you want to split it, hopefully it's not more than 3 or 4 times, you can hit add at the bottom left, and it's going to add as many checks as you need. Once you add the checks, you can highlight the item and put it on the other check. Once you split the items to the correct checks, you're going to hit OK at the bottom. And now you have 3 tabs here at the bottom. When you go to close out the check, you're going to go to the bottom left where it says close. And it's always going to default to that tab 1. So if you're on check 3 and you hit close, it's always going to go back to tab 1. So just be mindful of that. When you go to the close screen, if you have connected payments or if you just have regular EDC swipes, you'll have your tenders down the middle that will say Amex, Visa, MasterCard. If you have connected payments, you're going to have 2 buttons to the right that say CP card and manual chip. So when you close out to a connected payment site, say they're using an Amex, you're going to hit CP card. At this point, the customer is going to insert it into your device and then hit OK. If you have the swipes through the terminals, you're going to hit the Visa, Amex, MasterCard buttons, swipe it on your terminal, and then hit OK twice. If they're paying cash, you're just simply going to hit cash and hit OK. Once you tender that out, a little close button is going to appear here in the middle to close out the check completely. I'm just going to do cash. and then close out again in the middle. If you want to do comps, comps are in the top right where it says comp. And then these are all the generic comps that we have. If you want specific ones, you just let us know, we can program them. Comp item, the top one in the middle. You're just going to choose the item to comp and then hit OK. And it will comp that item off the check. Comp check in the top right, that will comp the entire check. Enter a percentage, enter a dollar amount. You just put the percentage in or the dollar amount in, and it's going to take that off the check. If you have promos, this is also going to be in the top right of the screen. We don't have any promos set up right now, but if you do, they will be right here next to the comp button. And then to get back to your payment screen, you're just going to hit payment, which is the third tab over on the right. If they have a gift card, that gift card button will also be on here. Just swipe the gift card and it will take that amount off. And then you also have at the top left, you could hit print, print all, it's just going to print an itemized check. Now, if a customer wanted to split the payment with 2, 3 different cards, on the close screen that we're on, you have an equal pay button in the middle bottom. At this point, you can put the amount of cards that you currently have. So say you have 2 cards. It's going to split that payment into 2 times. So now this payment, this person's going to pay with cash. I'm going to hit OK. And then the second person, you have to choose guest 2. And then again, I'm going to just do cash just because we're not doing credit cards right now. But if they did pay with a credit card, you would just choose the credit card payment to the right and swipe the card. If you want to apply a gratuity, that is on the bottom right where it says add edit gratuity. The standard amount is 18. If you want to change it, just put the amount that you want in, hit OK, and it's going to automatically apply that gratuity to the check. And then you also have in the bottom right as tax exempt. If they have a tax exempt card, you're going to choose this, put in their number. It has to be valid. If it's not valid, it's going to let you know. Once you're done closing out all the checks, you're going to hit close in the middle, and it's going to open that table back up for somebody else to use. A few other buttons on here are the top right. So you have a to-go and don't make. To-go is just simply going to send to the kitchen with the to-go words. And same thing with the don't make at the top right. If you put the items in, hit don't make, it's going to send to the kitchen and let them know not to make those items. When you want to transfer a check, you're going to go to that check that you're currently in. You're going to hit transfer at the bottom left. Choose the employee that you want to transfer it to. Hit OK. And then you're done at that point. So now it's responsible for the next person to log in and accept that transfer. So I'm going to go log in as that other person. So when they log in, they're going to get a little blue icon saying you have a pending transfer coming in. Just tap that away. You're going to go to your WWT screen at the bottom right next to the exit. And then your transfer is going to be listed on the left-hand side. We're just going to click on the transfer. We're going to hit new order at the bottom left. And then I'm just going to keep the same table number. So I'm going to click table and then choose table 91, which is already selected here at the top, and hit OK. And then OK again. And now that person has that check.
Cool.
Yes.
So we have 2 questions. The one is from Kathy, and it's for adding, swiping a credit card, saving a tab, and naming it something else.
Okay. So saving a tab, that's under the bartender screen. So the bartender screen looks a little bit different. So let me log in as a bartender. Their screen's just a tab. So they have a little bit more buttons at the top right here. So when you're a bartender, you can put your items in. You're going to hit new order. So over to the right where it says new order next to add to tab. Once you hit new order, you can swipe your credit card and it's going to save that credit card under this tab. Once you do that, the tab is just going to automatically go away. To find that tab again, you're going to go to the toggle in the top left, and it's going to show you all your tabs in the middle of the screen. When you want to close out that check, you're going to click on the tab, go to the close screen, the bottom left, and you're going to have a card right here in the middle that's going to be blinking, showing that they saved that card from the beginning. You can just click on that card, and it's just going to apply that payment to that check.
Okay. And then, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just answering the next question. If you
Yeah,
do have
that sounds
loyalty,
program.
yeah, if you have loyalty, it's also going to be on your payment screen. You're going to have a loyalty button that you're going to choose. Not every site has that, but it will be on your payment screen.
Okay. And Clancy and Kathy would like to know if when Aloha goes ahead and auto names the tab, can they change the name of it?
So you can only change the name of the card if you're not saving the card. So if you are using a credit card, when you put the items in and hit new order, once you swipe that credit card, it is going to save by their last name, first name. That's the only way it's going to save. The only way it will save by something that you type in is by not swiping a credit card. So you can name it whatever you want. But again, you're not holding any credit card. But if you do swipe it, it will be their first and last name of that credit card. And then also in the bartender screen, once you have, if you want to add something to a tab that's already currently open, you do not need to go and find that tab. You can just put the new items in, hit add to tab at the top right, and then just choose the tab that you want to add it to. Once you find the tab, it's just going to automatically go there and you're going to have a new check ready to go. Also
Marty.
for,
Oh, 1 second.
no, you're
Marty.
good.
Yeah, the webinar will be saved and it's going to be uploaded to our company's YouTube channel here before the end of the day. I'm just going to edit it down to take out the intro and then the end of the call as well. But yes, this will be available at the end of the day. And I believe our prior trainings are also available on our YouTube page. And then Marty has a question. Can I print out an employee's checkout from a previous day?
Yeah, so you can print out a previous checkout from a previous day on the back of the house. I don't have that because we're not in a, I have to be on a server to show you that, but in the back of the house, if you go to your audit report and then you're just going to hit print checkout, it's going to show you all the lists of employees that you just click on the employee and then do a checkout. I can do that once we're done with this. I can show you that real quick.
All right, thank you, Nicole.
Yep. And then also with the bartender screen is a fast cash button all the way to the right. So when you put the items in, once you hit fast cash, it's going to automatically close out that check and just open your drawer. So a little bit of speed of service just for bartenders. All right, and then the last thing is the manager functions. So on your function screen, right next to the exit, you're going to have your reports, which is the first block here to the left. This is going to show you all reports for this day. Any past days are going to be on the back of the house in your report section. So again, this is just for that day. So you got your restaurant sales. You can sort all by the bottom here, net, sales, labor, payments. Clock in, clock out times is going to show you who clocked in at what time. Employees clocked in, this is going to print out of your printer next to your terminal, just all the employees that are currently clocked in. Then you have server sales over to the left. It's going to show you all the servers and what their gross sales are, and then you can average it at the bottom here by anything that you want to look at. Bottom left, you have a drawer report. It's going to show you how much money is at the drawer at that current time. Sales by revenue. You can do sales by revenue, choose the revenue that you want, hit OK, it's going to print that out. Product mix is going to show you how much you sold of what item. If you have your cost in there, it's also going to show that as well. All right, the next one is financial. So the main thing for financial is if employees forget to put their tips in, the main thing that we recommend is do not clock back in. So if somebody forgets to put their tips in, the first thing they want to do is log back in, which is not correct. So once they log back in, it starts a whole new shift, and the only way to put tips in would be going through the back of the house and manually doing it, which nobody wants to do. So again, if they forget to put their tips in, the first thing that you want to do is go under your number. You're going to do, oops, wrong place. So I'm sorry, it's going to be under employee. So the first thing you want to do is hit delete clock out, choose the employee that clocked out, and then you want to hit delete checkout. This is going to reopen all their tabs under their number so they can go ahead and put their tips in. Again, if they clock back in, you cannot do this because they started a completely new shift. So again, you're going to go to functions employee, you're going to hit delete clock out, and then delete checkout. This will open all their tables back up for them to put their tips in. Let me go back to financial. So in financial, you have void items, you have transfers, but I recommend doing that right from the tables like we did. To void an item, you're just simply going to that check, hitting that item and hitting delete. I don't recommend doing it through here because if you do void items, you have to choose the employee, choose the check, and then choose the items to delete. It's much faster just to do it on the check itself. In financial, you can open a closed check. So over to the left, choose the employee that closed it, find the check that you need to reopen, and then hit OK. Once you hit OK, it's going to reopen under their number. View tables right in the middle. This is going to show you all the tables that are currently open. If you hit view to the right, it's going to show you that check, the total amount, the time it was open. If you want to reprint a check, again, find the employee, find the check, and you can reprint it. Again, this is only for that day. This is not for days past. Cash drawers for bartenders, when they log in, they're going to go to functions, financial, and then cash drawer. They're going to find their name over to the left and just put it into the empty box in the middle of the screen. This will assign them to the cash drawer. And then you also have a item availability, top right. This is where you can 86 an item or take something off the menu or put a countdown on something that you have limited of. So find the category that you want. So let's say pizzas. Click on the item. And then if you hit not available, it's just going to 86 that item and put an X on it so nobody can order it. If you use the arrows in the middle, so these go up by ones. If you hit the double arrows, they go up by tens. Once you hit OK, it's going to show a little pink number at the bottom left of how many items that you have left. So once you order 25 of those items, it's just going to 86 that button. All right, and then in the employee tab, so over to the right, you have change password. This is where you can assign a mag card. So when you hit change password, you're going to swipe the mag card twice, and it's going to assign that employee number to that card so they can just swipe in instead of using their number. Again, we already went over the delete clockout, delete checkout. If an employee forgets to put their tips in, delete clockout, delete checkout, it's going to reopen all their tables. Edit clock in, you can edit the clock in again just for that day. Click on the employee, adjust the hours, and then adjust the minutes. And then hit OK. It's going to ask the reason why you're editing it. That's what you're going to be doing in here. And then the last one is if you want to change a printer on the fly. So say a printer went down or whatever reason you need to, you're going to go to System. And you're going to do Reroute Printer Group. You're going to find the printer that you want to change. So say you want Expo to now print at Service Bar. You're going to hit Change Routing at the bottom. And choose the new printer that you want it to go to. You're going to hit OK to that. And then once you hit OK, you're done. This is going to reset the next day. So if you change any printers on the front of the house, this will reset back to its normal printing the next day. And then finally, when a server is done their shift, they're going to go to this WWT screen at the bottom right. And there's going to be a checkout button that appears at the bottom. So currently there's not one right now because we have tables open. So they're never going to see that checkout button unless all their tables are closed. So I'm going to go ahead and close these real quick. All right, so now all my tables are closed. I'm going to go to that WWT screen in the bottom right. I'm going to click that checkout button. It's going to ask me, am I ready to run my checkout? I'm going to hit yes. And then it's also going to ask me to clock out at the bottom. Once I hit that, you can hit clock out to the right, and then you're done with your shift. Does anybody have specific questions regarding the front of the house?
I think so. Kathy asked one question regarding, I guess for her site, they are transferring a tab from a server to the bar and it's getting lost in limbo. Have you experienced that in the past with any of our previous customers? And do you have a fix for it?
If it gets lost, so I'm not sure how that happens. When you transfer a table, they have to accept it. So maybe they're accepting it under like a different number or they rename it something else. So that's how it could possibly get lost. So if let me just show you real quick. So let's say I put this in, I transfer it, and then say the bar picks it up. So I'm gonna log in as the other person. So I'm gonna go to that WWT screen, hit the transfer, and hit new order. At this point, they may be able to hit tab, hit OK, and they can rename it something else where they might not think that that's what the server named it or as a different table number. So that's how they could get confused, but they're definitely not getting lost. They're always there. Once you transfer it, it's the next person's to accept it, and it's always going to be there. So if it doesn't show up at the bar, that means that they're not transferring it to the bar. We would need to look into your site just to kind of see what's going on. But without seeing it, I'm not quite sure how it's getting lost.
Kathy, what is the restaurant name so that we could go ahead and get our team to respond to you for that?